Hey guys, I'm John Setzler. Welcome back to Atlanta Grill Company. Today I'm going to fire up the Kamado Joe Classic. We're going to use the Dojo and we're going to cook a pizza that's a little different style than any I've cooked before. I got this idea from the Milk Street website. It looks really great, really easy to do, so let's get started. I'm going to get started making my dough, and this is a slower ferment dough. You want to start this dough about 5 hours before you're ready to cook the pizza. But this is really a hands-off process, so it doesn't really take any extra work. But I've got my flour measured out. I've got it in the bowl of my stand mixer. So I'm going to add my salt, and I'm going to add my yeast, and I'm going to give you these measurements in the video description. I'm just going to take my whisk and slowly kind of whisk that together to get it mixed up, and then I'm going to lower the mixer with the dough hook, and I'm going to lock the dough hook in place, and I'm going to turn the mixer on a slow speed, and then I'm just going to drizzle my water in slowly. And this is a very wet dough. For those of you that do baker's percentages, this is an 85% hydration. It's an extremely wet dough. It's like a focaccia dough. So now that I've got that water in there, I'm going to come up to number 2 on the mixer speed, and we're going to let that mix for 10 minutes with the dough hook. And here we are about 10 minutes into this, and I want you to have a look. This is still just a super runny and wet dough, and that's exactly what it's supposed to be. I'm going to scrape that off of my dough hook. Then I'm going to take the bowl off. And then I'm going to take a glass bowl, and I'm going to put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil in that bowl. And then I'm going to use my dough scraper, and I'm just going to scrape this dough out of the pan, or out of the mixer bowl, into this glass bowl. And I don't want to leave any behind. And then I'm just going to wet my hand a little, and I'm going to reach in there and flip that and kind of get it coated in our olive oil, and that'll be about just right. And then we'll just cover this bowl with plastic wrap and set it in a warm spot, and we're not going to look at this again for 4 hours. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get the fire started in the Kamado Joe Classic 3. I've got the fire lit, so I'm just going to set my dojo in place here and get her lined up. And I'm going to close the lid, and we're going to use the Fireboard 2 today to run this guy. I've taken a little alligator clip. I bought a package of these at Harbor Freight, and that guy slips right onto the end of that temperature probe for the fireboard. And I'm going to open up the dome, and I'm going to clip that to the stem of the dome thermometer on the Classic, and then close the lid down. And I'm going to get the fireboard powered up here. And I want to run the fireboard at a temperature of about 450. So I'm going to get this guy rolling. I've set the pit temp for 450. Or I thought I had set it for 450. We'll get it going right here in just a second. And it'll ramp up and bring our temperature up. And I'm lighting this guy about 90 minutes before I'm going to be ready to cook on it, because I want this thing to be preheated completely. We're at the 4 hour mark, and I want to show you what our dough looks like. It is a wet, puffy, bubbly mess. It just kind of came all the way up to the top of that bowl. But what we're going to do is take a 12-inch pizza pan, and I'm going to put a couple of tablespoons of oil right into the bottom of it, just like that. And then we are going to take our dough scraper and scrape this dough out right on top of that oil that we've put there. And we're going to let that sit there untouched for 20 minutes. Okay, we've been sitting here another 20 minutes, and I've got a little bowl here where I can keep my hands wet. What I want to do is just run this dough out to the edges of the pan, just very gently. And if it wants to stretch, it will. If it doesn't, it won't, and we'll let it sit. What I'm doing basically is just pressing on the top of this, and I'm going to let it sit for about 5 more minutes and then come back and do this again. Okay, I let that sit for a little longer, and then I pushed it on out to the edges of the pan. We're not going to use a tomato sauce on this pizza. I'm going to put some of these sun-dried tomato halves on here. These are the kind that are just a regular grocery store variety that come in a jar packed in olive oil. So I'm just going to put, a few of these on here. And then I'm going to grate on a little bit of pecorino romano over the top of that. And then I've got some slivers of red onion that we're going to put on. And then I've got some pepperoni that I have cut into a dice that we'll just get on here. And then we're going to finish this guy off with a little bit of shredded mozzarella. And we're not going to go too heavy with that. Something about like that. And this guy's ready to go to the oven. Man, y'all about let me forget something I wanted to put on here. I'm going to give this guy a little shake of the Atlanta Grill Company Himalayan Sherpa before we go on the grill. Just a very light shake. This is a salt, pepper, garlic. It's going to be just perfect on that. So now we're ready to put it in the grill. Okay, and we're running about 425 instead of 450. So just so you'll know where we are there, I'm going to slide this guy right in, and we're going to let that cook. It's probably going to take around 15 minutes. Okay, we've been going about 17 minutes now, and I believe this guy's just about done. So we're going to pull it off, let it cool, and then we're going to have a look at it. Okay guys, I've given this thing a bit to cool, and you can have a look at that crust and see how light and airy that is, being like a focaccia dough. And on the bottom, we've got a really nice cook there on the bottom. So guys, give this one a try and let me know what you think. It's super easy. Until next time, this is John Setzler with Atlanta Grill Company.